Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, opening your mouth just means getting more work. I'm an engineer. Client requests specific functionality, forgets what they asked for, again, and again, and again. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Opening your mouth just means getting more work. I'm Dave. I've been asked to take over reporting duties for someone I'll call Sue, who is going on an extended leave. About 2 months probably. And she may not come back. Last week we met and reviewed her process. The first 10 minutes was spent in confusion by me asking her which tables she queried, what criteria she used, what time she kicked off the query, etc., etc. Sue doesn't do anything like that. She watches for emails that have a certain phrase in the subject line. She adds the ticket number listed in those emails to a spreadsheet that she keeps open all day. She tracks each ticket's progress based upon more emails. She tries to make sure it still qualifies for the report. Depending upon the email, she may remove tickets from her spreadsheet. At a certain time every day she grabs the list of qualifying tickets from the spreadsheet and opens our ticketing application. She browses to each ticket and verifies the information is still current. She copies and pastes the information from various sections of the ticket into an email. Repeat steps 4 and 5 for each ticket. She formats the information and adds some boilerplate language for each ticket in the email. She sends the email to a coworker who manually reviews it for errors. There's normally at least one. She sends the result to our manager, who gives it a brief once-over, and then sends it to the CEO of our Fortune 500 company. As I was hearing this on mute, I said to myself two things. First, life is short and full of wonders. Second, I'm not doing that. I listened to Sue for the first 10 minutes of her explanation, and then ignored her. I focused on developing my own method. I'm a little embarrassed by that, but it's starting to become a habit. I couldn't do this before I started working from home, and one day it will get me into trouble. Anyway, I created a report that will capture all of the relevant information, filtered by criteria that will pick out only the relevant tickets. I then manually prune some of the rows and feed the rest into a template that formats and presents all of the ticket details. All I have to do is copy and paste the result into the email and convert it from table to text. Creating this took about an afternoon. My process from when I run my report until I'm ready to send is about 10 minutes. I think I can embed the report into the template. If I do that and delegate the pruning to a macro, the time will be only 5 minutes. I think Sue was spending 2 hours a day on this. At least. In terms of results, my process is a lot less fallible. So far the coworker who does the review has found no errors, only little formatting nits that I corrected in the template. I predict that our manager will eventually deem her participation unnecessary, so that's about another 30 minutes saved. Today I had this exchange with a colleague I'll call Stan. We've worked together for many years. Dave, I cannot believe that someone in our company was using such an absurd report generation process. Especially for something that goes to the top. It still blows my mind. Stan, Dave, you know that group is infamous for this sort of things. Or should I say your group? Dave, don't lump me with the rest of the people here. You know we had that reorg. This has only been my group for a few months. Stan, whatever. So what did Sue say when you showed her the report and the template? Dave, I haven't showed it to her yet. We both report to Chuck now. It occurred to me that she will probably show it to him, and if she does he will become aware that what took her 2+ hours now takes me 5 to 10 minutes. I think he will cheerfully praise me, and then send me more work. Stan, probably. Dave, I've never done this before, but I'm thinking of keeping this to myself and telling no one. Stan, Dave, the real tragedy is that it took you 25 years to figure that out. Always keep your mouth shut. I'm an engineer. This happened back when I was in my last year in college, and I was an intern for a textile company in their IT department. My senior, who was a chill dude, was the one that kept me company during my stay, and he was the one who I picked up most of my skills from. We'll call him Jay. Now, one day we had this one request that came in from one of the officers in another department, who we'll call Max. So Max complained that his desktop PC, an Intel Pentium 4, would not turn on. Jay and I went to his office to check it out. The computer wouldn't turn on. We tried all the standard troubleshooting stuff from changing the PSU, reseating the RAM, CPU, and video card, but nothing worked. Finally, Jay told me to grab the test motherboard of the same brand and model. It was an Asus board from what I can remember, we had from storage, and so I brought it to him. We swapped out the motherboard and lo and behold, the PC turned on and started to work. So Jay went over to Max and told them he had a faulty motherboard. Max asked further what could have caused the board to fail. Jay said he wouldn't know unless more testing was done, but he said it could be anything from a bad chip, blown capacitor, or a factory defect of some sort. Now, Max was an electrical engineer by trade, so he thought it could be easily fixed by resoldering some parts. He had a tester so he can figure out which chips, capacitors, or whatever was blown and just simply replace it by resoldering a new part onto it. Jay explained that it wasn't as simple as that, but Max said he can probably fix the motherboard on his own. Jay did try to dissuade him to no avail. In the end, Max asked us to hand over the defective board so that he could fix it himself and save the company a few extra bucks. A few days later, one of my co-interns brought in Max's PC, and there was a label on it that said for repair. I was curious as to what had happened. Jay came in later, and when he saw Max's PC in our work desk, he just rolled his eyes. When we opened the PC, we saw some solder blobs on some capacitors near the video card, and there was a faint burnt smell coming off it. I never got to work on it, but I heard from my co-intern that Jay tested it later in the day, and found out that the CPU was dead, and the RAM had become faulty, causing Windows XP to crash to a blue screen almost every time when he tested them on another motherboard. Our head IT boss never reissued a new desktop computer to Max ever since and gave him a used laptop instead. From time to time when me and Jay would pass by Max, he would just give us a blank look and ignore us completely. Client requests specific functionality, forgets what they asked for, again, and again, and again. I'm a web developer, and I have a lot of clients who are just the worst at reading comprehension. Or maybe it's a communication breakdown, since there were like 5 people on the client team and each communication below was with a different team member, and even though every person on the team was involved in the initial conversation and every subsequent email, each person had to be explicitly reminded at least once how the functionality we agreed upon worked. 4 weeks ago. Client, we need to be able to flexibly set the URL on the button that brings the users back to our app on the success page. Me, I will code it to look for a query parameter called redirect_URL on the landing page, and use that to set the button. You just need to include that parameter in the link to the landing page. Client, okay. 3 weeks ago. Client, we've tested the app, it all looks good except the button on the success page doesn't do anything. Is this expected? Me, did you include the redirect_URL on the landing page? Per our previous discussion, you need to include this to set the button. You can put in any URL you want for testing purposes, like redirect_URL equals google.com. Client, oh got it, okay, looks good. 2 weeks ago. Client, hey, we've confirmed just about everything for the launch, only issue is the button on the success page doesn't do anything. Me, per my previous email. 1 week ago. Client, we are not sure how to test the button on the success page that returns the user to the app. Can you confirm that it is not possible to test this? Me, no, you can test it. The link in your app that goes to the landing page needs to include the redirect_URL. If you're testing in a browser and not coming from the app, you just need to add the redirect_URL to the landing page URL in the browser, e.g. site.com/app?redirect_URL =google.com. Client: oh okay, thanks. The day after launch. Client: I've tested everything and it looks good, expect the button on the success page doesn't return me to the app.